gone through. So Tori is our guest tonight. She says, my name is Tori from short, and I'm just like all the other women who come from dysfunctional backgrounds. But with research, therapy, and determination, I have survived. I'm unlearning codependent tendencies and embracing what life has in store. I think that's an excellent introduction for our next guest. So let me get her on here. Hey, Tori. Welcome
Hi,
to the
Deb.
show. I'm so glad
Thank
to have you
you.
here.
Thank
Look at that
you.
bright
Thank you.
smile. Yeah, you know what? Your energy is like, oh, I'm just a sweetheart. I'm just a wonderful little, just like somebody that is a very nice person.
Thank you.
That's what
Thank
you look.
you.
That's what you exude.
Thank
So
you,
let
Deb.
people know a little bit more about who is Tori. What's Tori doing here?
Okay. Hi, ladies. Yes. So my name is Tori, Latoria Harris. So basically, I am a veteran of the United States Army. That's where I met the Narc. I served about 4.5 years, and once the demise of my relationship happened, I was like, okay, I'm going to start over. My contract came to an end in the military, and now I'm back in my hometown of Birmingham. I'm going to school for nursing, and I'm just living my life.
Oh, good for you. Well, it sounds like you're on a good trajectory. I like to hear young ladies doing positive things after their experience with a knucklehead.
Yes.
So, so let's start at the beginning. When you were growing, so where you are now, you said this is your hometown, so that's where you grew up.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what was your family life like as you were a young girl?
So my family life was very toxic, very dysfunctional. My parents had me at a very young age. They were 13 and 14. My mom was 13, my father was 14. I never really had a relationship with my father, but naturally, I would guess, when you have children that young, you don't know what you're doing, so your parents are going to take over. So my grandparents raised me. And even with those relationships, I saw a lot of toxicity growing up with my grandparents. But yeah, that's basically like how I guess you could say my beginning was.
So did they tell you anything about, men and relationships and, what to watch out for as a young lady and the games that folks will run on you?
No, absolutely not. The main thing that I heard a lot growing up was from my mom, don't have, you know, relationships with a guy, intimate relationships with a guy. And it was very just like, confusing because my mom was kind of like a love addict. And that's something that I want to touch on later. And I realized that I had a anxious, preoccupied attachment style. And that's what my mother had, very like had to be in a relationship, no matter how toxic or dysfunctional it was. So yeah, seeing that, and then like I said, not having anybody to teach me what to look for, what not to look for. I didn't know anything about relationships. I was like going into relationships, blind. So
Yeah, that seems to be what happens, unfortunately.
mm-hmm.
And then if with that as a model, you might think that was okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
Did
do.
other women, did your mom or your dad have sisters? I mean, did you see any other women in your family handle their relationships differently?
No, like across the board, I would say if there wasn't some type of like situation where, my parents' siblings were single, if they were in relationships, it was very toxic. And when I say toxic, I'm not just saying like arguing or anything like that. I'm talking about like domestic violence, the police getting called. Like that was something that I saw a lot growing up, just very like toxic relationships. I didn't see anybody have a marriage that was, healthy or where it was loving. I never saw any of that growing up.
Oh my God. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then you decide that you're going to join the Army.
Yes. I decided I was going to join the Army. Wasn't immediately after I graduated high school. I went to college for like a good year and a half. And at that time, I was living with my grandmother. And you know, we were living like in a low income area in a small town outside of Birmingham, and I felt like I didn't have a lot of options. So I was just like, God, you know, I need to do something with my life. I can't just sit here and I don't even know what I'm going to school for. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get out of Birmingham and I'm gonna join the military. And that's what I did.
Good for you. Okay. So you did that, and then you're in there, and then you meet Mr. Thang. Oh, I saw that eye roll. I saw that. I saw that.
Yes, because that when I first saw my ex-husband, like I probably saw him like 4 or 5 times, and I was just like passing him by, like he was trying to talk to me, and I was like, go ahead on, you know, like I was just so not interested in him at first. So, you know, when you're in the military and you're like away from home, that was like my first time ever being away from Birmingham. Like, so I was like very lonely, and like the culture in the military is very like, you have to be tough, you have to be strong. So, you know, I was just like, between working and my, the fact that I felt like I didn't have like any close family there, I felt like very just alone. So somehow, oh my God, Deb,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So somehow, my ex and I, we had like a mutual acquaintance, and I remember I was sitting in the cafeteria. We call it the defect. I was sitting in a defect with my coworker, and my ex-husband, he knew him as well. And this guy was so talkative. He was like, oh, there's such and such. So he called him over there to the table where we were. And me and my coworker was talking about what we were going to do, you know, in the military and our goals and stuff like that. And I'm going to just say, I don't even know what to call my ex. I'm going to just say Mr. Narc.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mr. Narc was just like very engaged in the conversation and things like that. And he was like, you know, that's pretty cool. But, you know, he kind of left it at that, you know, just talking to both of us. So I kept seeing him, like I said, you know, coming out the cafeteria. And I was like, hey, I always run into you. How you doing? And we just struck up a conversation. And from there, he was like, you know, I want to take you out sometime. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was supposed to go out with him the next day, but somehow I forgot, you know, that we had a date planned, and I slept the whole day. And
She's like, dude, you were so not memorable
yeah,
that I
like
just slept through it.
And he texted me again the following day, and he was like, yeah, did you still want to go out? And I was like, sure. So we met up at Panda Express, and we sat there and talked for like 5 hours, and it just kind of went from there.
Wow, 5 hours. Didn't your butt get tired of sitting there?
I did, but I was just like, you know, I was like, he is really cool. Like, I'm a small town girl, and he was from DC, and I was just really enjoying the different things he was telling me about how he grew up in a city like that. So, yeah.
Oh boy, you were just like shark bait.
Yes, I was. Very
Poor
much
little
so.
thing. You just no way you was getting out of that. Okay, so just walk us. All you had to do, you said DC. That's like New York, DC, LA,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Oakland.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't stand a chance. So
Yeah, you did. You really didn't. So let's just
no.
go on and hear the rest of it. How you got roasted over hot coals.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
I know we can laugh about it now because it's in the past. But
Yes.
okay, so go on with the next step. So then what
Okay.
what had happened to did?
Okay. So, you know, it went from, you know, us just hanging out a lot. And then somewhere along the line, maybe about 3 weeks into that, he was like, you know, wanting to be in an exclusive relationship. And for me, I thought it was kind of strange, because I was like, you know, we don't know each other that well. But I was like, you know, I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance. And so I went ahead and was like, yeah, you know, we can be in an exclusive relationship. And I saw a lot of things about him that I kind of wasn't like, it kind of was like, you know, this is kind of odd about him. It was just like, he was very charming, always wanted to hang out, always wanted to be together and things like that. And I just didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I was like, you know, this guy's in the military. He's doing something with himself. Like, I'm going to just give him a chance. So we dated, you know, for about 6 months. And around the 6-month mark, we planned to go on like our first like couples trip. And during that time, I had kept seeing these alerts coming on his phone. You know, it was POF, like a dating website. And it was like, Candy 93 liked your picture or something like that. And I was like, maybe it's spam or something. I don't know. So I asked him about it. And he was like, no, it's something old. So I was like, okay, I don't believe that. So I'm going to go into this, you know, I hacked into his account basically. And I saw that he was trying to message girls and link up with them like that very same day. And I was like, we're planning a couples trip. Like, are you serious? So I'm like, you going about your way and I'm going about mine. So I broke up with him. And he was crying and screaming. And we both stayed in the barracks. So he was like banging on the door. And I got in my car and I left. I was like, you can stay here, but I'm about to go and do some stuff. And I went to go see a friend of mine. And he was like trying to follow me all over posts. And I was like, do not follow me to this person's house. So we were broken up for like a good month and he came back. I was coming out of my barracks room and he was like in the parking lot waiting for me to come out, I guess. And he was like, can we have a talk? And I was like, no. So he was like, well, where are you going? I was like, I'm about to go get me another car. And he was like, well, who's going with you? I was like, none of your business. So I was like, if I feel like I'll call you later. So I called him and like, long story short, 2 days later, he asked me, could I marry him? He was like, I don't ever want to see my life without you. I don't want to leave here without you, blah, blah, blah. And me
Oh,
being,
he's good.
yeah, he asked me to marry him. And I was just like, well, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this means like he's serious about me and he won't do that again. And I was just, you know, naive. So I'm like, if they cheat before, they're going to cheat after. But anyways, so we got married like 3 weeks later. We eloped. And I hadn't even met his mom. He hadn't met my people. We just were like, we want to get married and we'll tell everybody after. And so I met his parents, well, his mom. He met my family and things like that. And I remember at our like little wedding party, my mom was like, so are y'all gonna have any kids? And I was like, no. Like, I was so against having children like early on in my marriage, but I was pregnant. And that is when I would say I saw the mask slip with my ex-husband. Not when I was pregnant, like when the baby was growing, but after I had our son. And I feel like that happened because he knew that I wasn't the type of person to stay in a relationship if it was not advantageous for me. But because I hadn't had a family and I always wanted that, I felt like he used that, you know, to his advantage and was like, I'm going to be the real me now because we have a baby and she not going to go anywhere. And I didn't. So that's when all the cheating started and the lying started and the gaslighting, like him telling me, when I would call his paramour or whatever, he would go on the phone and change the girl's number so I wouldn't be able to call the right number, or call them and tell them to tell me not to say nothing, or they were friends and things like that. So that was like the trend in our relationship after I had my son, and I dealt with a lot of like depression from that. I wasn't eating. I was just like, I couldn't believe that I had basically repeated a pattern that I didn't want to repeat. You know, so, and that was like the demise of our first marriage. I left him probably like when my son was 8 months old, and I filed for a divorce. So that was the end of the first marriage. But we did get married again like 6 months later.
Wait, what?
We got
Tori, wait, what?
we got married again like 6 months later. Like during the time we were separated, I was just kind of living my life. Like, you know, I was dating. I was like just kind of living my life. And I guess he thought that I was gonna like chase him and things like that, but I wasn't. Like, I was dating. I was preparing to like try to do a nursing program through the military. And he came to me one day and was like, yeah, I got orders to go to Korea. And I was like, well, you ain't going nowhere because I'm about to go to Fort Hood and go be a nurse and all this type of stuff. He was just like, you know, I understand that. And because we had planned on, you know, sharing custody and things like that. So I was like, you're not going to just leave me here by myself. We had this baby together. So he came to me again, probably like a week after that conversation and was like, I want to be a family. I'll pay all the bills this time. You don't have to do anything. I just want you to come with me to Korea. Just follow me to Korea. And I was like, okay, if he gonna pay all the bills and I ain't got to do anything, maybe I should give him another chance. Like, it wasn't like I married him again because it was love. It was more so like convenience. Mm-hmm. So we got married again. And I felt like I had developed a very strong sense of independence that time that we were separated, and I was exposed to like dating different people who were really like good. And, you know, I became like very unhappy in our second marriage because I was like not in a place that I wanted to be with him, like our living situation. Like, we moved into my tiny apartment when we got remarried. And I was just like, you know, had we stayed married the first time, we wouldn't be in this small apartment and all that. Like, I just felt very resentful of him the second time we got married. And I felt like he didn't really change. I just felt like he didn't want me to move. He didn't want me to move on, basically. Right. And he wanted to try to seem like he could compete with other guys, I guess, by saying, I'm gonna pay all the bills and be the breadwinner and things like that. And I never felt like he looked at me as a person, more so like an object, you know? So
something to possess.
Yes, something right. to possess. So in our second marriage, Deb, I'm not gonna lie, an ex had reached out to me, and, you know, my ex-husband found out that I had, you know, had been texting this person. I had been seeing that guy when me and my ex-husband divorced the first time, and he was just checking on me and stuff like that. So he went through my phone and was like, why are you talking to such and such? And he became real possessive. Like, he didn't want me to work. He didn't want me to do anything. So I was just like, it's nothing, you know, I never talked to anybody, so I don't understand why you're reacting in this way, you know, but it won't happen again. I won't text that person again. So I don't know how I knew, Deb, but I knew, you know, that my ex-husband had started cheating on me again. And by this time, he had got his orders. He got his orders, like, I guess, cut to go to Korea. So we didn't have to go to Korea anymore. He was going to go be a recruiter. And we were going to go to Virginia together. So basically, I found out he was cheating on me again. I had a dream. I didn't go through his phone. I had stopped going through his phone and all of that. I had this weird dream. And I was like, do I want to follow this man to Virginia and I'm following him all over? Or do I want to carve out a life for myself? So something told me he had a second job too while he was in the military. So I went to his second job and I was like, let me see a phone. So I go through his phone, I log into his account, and he had been calling the same girl like every single day from this burner app number. So I called this young lady, and, you know, I learned if you want to find out information, don't curse out the other woman. Don't do none of that. Talk with some sense. Right. So I just was talking to her calmly, and I was like, can we go out to lunch tomorrow? So she agreed to meet me for lunch the next day. I picked her up and she told me everything. And I confronted him with it. And I was like, you can either tell me now or I'm going to go to your chain of command and tell them what you've been doing. Ooh. So, yeah. Because by this time, I wasn't in the military anymore. I had got like a medical discharge when we got back together for the second time. So I'm like, I need to build my case up for this divorce. I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past 6 months. Like, I'm going to need some spousal support or something if you've been doing stuff you ain't got no business doing. So he was like, well, yeah, we were friends. I was like, no, it's more to it than that. So you want to keep playing or you want to tell me the truth? So that's when he told me they had been intimate a few times. And I was just like, Deb, by that point, I was like, I'm done. But a part of me was like, stay for the, you know, he was paying the bills and stuff. And I stayed a little bit longer, but the final straw was when he went to recruiting school. And the crazy thing is, Deb, I asked him, did he want to have an open marriage? Because I didn't want to just be with him. Like, you know, I was like, you've been doing this. I'm going to go on dates and stuff. But he was like, no.
So, yeah, they never want you to do what they were doing. Yeah.
Yes. So once I found out that he had been talking to women, like he'll tell me he in a bed sleep, you know, while he at recruiting school, and he got on his clothes, pull the covers off, and he going out to clubs and trying to meet up with different women. Once I found that out, I was like, I'm done. I'm moving back to Birmingham. You go ahead about your way and you go to Virginia, and I'll see you when I see you. So once he realized I was serious, he went and filed for a divorce, and we got divorced. And that's where I am now, in Birmingham, going to school with my son and just living my life.
Girl, what a story. Dude is just doing the most.
Yes.
There's a picture of somebody and that says the most. That's him right there.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
I mean, did he ever say, okay, why did he pursue you to get remarried if he still want to live like a single man? Did he ever explain that?
No, he would never, like, once he would never explain anything to me. And I just realized trying to get an explanation from him, it was hurting myself, you know, so I just let it go. I just figured he just wanted to keep tabs on me and wanted to be able to say, I have her and I'm going to still go out and do me. But what he didn't realize was that I'm not that type of person that is just like, because I have a child with you, I'm just going to stay. That's why I stopped at one child, not having any more. And I wasn't going to have any more with him because I wasn't going to allow myself to be trapped.
Oh, good job. It's like, it's good. I wish more young ladies would think, you know, that far in advance. It's like, oh, this is going in the downhill slope. I'm going to jump off when it comes to the baby making part. So at least I'll get away. I'm going to get away with one kid, not 2 or 3. That makes it hard, a lot harder.
It does.
So now at the end of all of this, what lessons did you learn?
Oh, okay. Yes.
You wrote them down?
Yes.
Go ahead, girl.
I did. So I have a few lessons for before you get too involved with the narc, and then a few after you got involved. So the key takeaways before, I would say, is do not get pregnant early on in a relationship or early on in a marriage. You know, when you get married, just do not get pregnant out of wedlock. And I say that because there are certain advantages to being, you know, married, like the alimony and spousal support or temporary spousal support. That's the only reason I say try to wait till you're married first before you have children with a person. But I would say, you know, if you do find yourself, you know, you rushed into a marriage or whatever, just be safe. You know, make sure you're taking precautions because you don't really know a person until you've been with them and you spent time with them. They're going to show their good side, the representative, for a while. So just wait on bringing children into the picture. Be wary of a man who is quick to lock you down. It takes time to get to know a person. So if you meet a guy and he's like trying to rush you to get into a relationship, ask yourself why. Like, why is he trying to rush and, you know, be exclusive? Like, it doesn't always mean that's a compliment. You know, a lot of guys, they want to lock you down while they're still going on doing them, what they want to do.
That's 90%.
So kind of wait. Yes. The other thing I would say is listen to your body. And what I mean by that is like, notice how you feel with this guy. Do you feel insecure? Do you feel jealous? Like, are they triggering certain things in you? And I say that because I felt jealous a lot in that relationship. I felt insecure and always wondering, is he talking to somebody? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Like, that's not good. That's not going to foster a long-term healthy bond with a person, you know. So pay attention to those signs. Pay attention to inconsistencies, like, you know, lying or cheating or just any little thing that he says. Like, my ex, he knew that I grew up with some of my family members that had like substance abuse issues. And he told me that his close relatives dealt with that, like his grandmother, but she didn't. He just wanted to try to, I guess, relate to me in some kind of way and build a false bond or whatever, but just pay attention to somebody that's inconsistent. So another thing is pay attention to their family dynamic. Like, did they grow up with their father and mother together? If they grew up with just their mom, you know, did she try to, I guess, act as if her child was like her step husband or boyfriend or whatever? Like, you
saying
really
he's the man of the house and he's 11.
Yes, because that's what he dealt with his mom. So pay attention to the family dynamic. And the last thing I would say is know your attachment style. I said it earlier, but my attachment style is anxious, preoccupied. So I fear abandonment. And I try to sometimes stay in relationships longer than what I should, because I fear that, you know, they're gonna leave and I'm gonna die. Like, I feel like it feels that bad when you don't work on, you know, that attachment style, and try to just learn the attachment styles of those that you find yourself in relationships with.
Tori, but where did you think that originated? Where did that come from?
It came from my childhood. My mom was not there. You know, she put me on her mom a lot, and my father wasn't there. So I had a real fear of abandonment. I didn't want to be left. So I gave him a lot more chances than what I should have. So yeah, I would definitely say do some research on your attachment style. And I didn't learn that until I got in therapy. So, and this is the takeaways if you've already been involved with a narc. If you've already been involved, move away if need be, you know, some states away, cities away, go low contact or no contact. Low contact, if y'all have children, only talk about the children. That's it. I moved states away. I moved back to my hometown and he moved to Virginia. I wasn't going to be in the same place as him because I didn't want him to think, well, I can try to get her back. Like, no, you go your way. Yeah. The other thing is don't have any more kids. If you already have children with the narc, stop at whatever number you have. Don't think, oh, we're going to get back together, and we just stop, because it's easier to move on when you have one or two, but just don't keep adding kids into the mix. Like, I just don't think that's smart. Get in therapy, and even if you need medication therapy, like if you need to see a psychiatrist or whatever, like you may be dealing with depression or grief or whatever, you know, when you leave that narc, get in therapy, because it helps. Go back to school or find something to occupy your mind that's constructive. It'll help you to know, you know, like once you remove a toxic relationship, you got to fill it back up with something good, right? Something that's positive. And the last thing I would say is forgive yourself, because you don't know what you don't know. Just try to do better. That's it.
Oh, round of applause. Look at you. Good work. And so you learned a lot of that while you were in therapy?
Yes, I learned a lot of it in therapy, just forgiving myself, and just listening to your videos and realizing that I can't change the past. Just try to use the past to my advantage and don't make that same mistake in the future.
That's it. That is the key. As I said, my grandfather, I said, you know, once is a mistake, twice is a habit.
Yes.
So, you start doing the same stuff 2, 3, 4 times. Well, now what's going on really? You're making some choices that are kind of interesting. Well,
Yes.
that was really, really good. So you have, when you see yourself now versus how you were when you met him, what do you think about yourself?
Oh my God, that woman is it's like a drastic difference. Like I feel like I can conquer the world. I feel more confident in myself, and I feel like I can better spot the signs of like a toxic individual, and not just like relationship wise, but like now I really have my boundaries. Like if you're doing something and it's not respecting my person, I cut you off. That's family, friends, relationships, whatever. Like I have a zero tolerance for BS. Um, yeah, that's the main thing. And just not like being okay with being alone, and not feeling like it's a bad thing if I'm not in a relationship, or the world is not over if I'm not married. That's society that says that we have to have that. And then when you look at the divorce rate, it's like the numbers aren't adding up to what these Disney movies tell us what we should have. So I learned a lot about myself, and I actually enjoy being alone and just being happy to know that my future is going to be a lot brighter, because I went through that and I grew from it and I learned from it.
And that is the key. You go, Tori. Look at you. I'm so proud of you. Good
Thank you.
job. Good job. And I
Thank
think,
you.
you're very, very, very organized presentation. Notice I didn't hardly have to say nothing. I was just sitting here. And so it's like, but you're very organized. Your thoughts are clear. And I think, the sequence in which you relay things that the people listening to this, young girls in your age group, can, truly identify. So I think this is like an excellent interview. Let's pat
Thank
ourselves
you.
on the back.
Yay! But thank you so much, Deb, for having me. I am always in your comments, like saying something, and yes, so thank you so much.
Oh, it was a pleasure, my pleasure. And I will be getting this up as soon as possible. Okay.
Alrighty,
So be
thank
sure to
you.
visit the video, because I'm sure people will put comments below, to
Okay.
ask you questions and everything. So you just pop in there and do your star thing.
All right.
Okay. Okay,
All
girl.
right,
Talk to you
Deb,
later.
thank you. All
Bye
right,
bye.
bye.